gotta chase it. Money's moving to me. I'm a millionaire. Money better cases. I ain't gotta chase it.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Happy Tuesday to you all. I hope that you're having an amazing day thus far. And y'all, I'm going to be straight up and honest with you right now. You're going to catch the raw and uncut. This is going to be a very raw live stream. And, I don't even know how I'm going to flow. I have so many different emotions and things going on inside of me right now that I can't even begin to properly articulate how it is that I feel. And so some of you will get it, some of you won't. And guess what? Those of you that don't, I'm not talking to you. But I'm going to get into what I have to share right now. And I'm going to start off by first, of course, doing my introduction. But if you're watching me live, I need to know who's here. I need you to comment. I need you to go ahead and let me know where you're watching from. And I'm going to start off with this disclaimer, knowing that this conversation is not for everybody. It's not. And especially if you're someone who happens to be easily offended, this conversation is not for you. But this conversation is for those of you that there's more. Right? So before I even get into that, let me go ahead and do my intro as I always do. My name is Sharita Leon. I went from being a homeless, disabled, single mom to a two-time #1 best-selling author with books that were on the bestsellers list for over 2 years straight. I'm also a life, relationship, and business coach, an internet marketing strategist, entrepreneur, international speaker, and the protege of the legendary Les Brown, a Forex trader and investor, and I empower my tribe to live their God-given purpose while creating wealth and have healthy relationships. I'm also a believer in my faith is exuded in all that I do. So I literally just got back home from Houston about, I want to say, maybe an hour ago. And I had an amazing weekend. I mean, everything was what it needed to be and then some. And I headed back home today. And on the plane, before we even took off, there was talks about the weather in New York. There was some fog, and they talked about how there was going to be some, turbulence going into, New York and leaving out of Texas. And so immediately, obviously, I start praying and I text some of my intercessors and I'm like, okay, pray for these specific things. And so we go through as we took off as expected. There was some turbulence. And so I'm still praying. And while I'm praying, I'm like, you know what? I know I ain't going nowhere. I'm like, there's too much to do, right? There's too much to do. So we get through the turbulence and things are fine for a good minute. I'm not asleep. I had a super early flight. Okay. So now we're almost to New York. We're about 40 minutes away from New York. And now the fog still hasn't gone, right? It's still foggy and it's like they can't land. So now we're just sitting in the air, just waiting. There are other planes in front of us. They can't go anywhere because of the fog. And here we are. And so while that's happening, all of these thoughts try to come to my mind, right? I'm thinking fog. I'm thinking about Kobe. I'm thinking about all these different things. I'm thinking about all these things that are trying to come that are contrary to what I know God's promises are for my life. So immediately I began to remind myself of what God has said about me, the scriptures that I hold on to. But then I'm also thinking about and fighting thoughts of this could be my last trip. And while I'm sitting there thinking, my mind goes into, did you live the life that you wanted to live? Did you accomplish what you wanted to accomplish? What will people say about you if, God forbid, this is your last flight and this is the last thing you want on this earth? What will your legacy be? How will people remember me? Will they be affected by my life and or the lack thereof? Those were the thoughts that came through my mind as I'm on this flight. And then it brought me back to last weekend. It brought me back to being amongst greatness. It brought me back to being in such close proximity to multimillionaires. And then it was like this holy anger came on me to where it's like, you better get yourself together. You better not make not ever one excuse ever in your life to not live the life that you know you're supposed to be living. Now, I'm someone that does not curse. If you know me personally, you know my ears cringe when I hear other people curse. But the way that I feel, quite honestly, the way that I feel, I would curse right now. And it's not towards anybody else, but it's a level of audacity, a level of passion and aggression to accomplish every single thing that God has put in me and has shown me. See, sometimes we get so comfortable with where we are, with our past successes, and we stay in that place, or we move forward, or we get distracted and other things happen, and then you kind of find yourself in limbo. But there is absolutely no time to be sitting here playing around when there's so much that you have been promised. And sometimes we think because God has promised us certain things that they're just going to fall in our laps. And that's not the case. Because if you remember, when God gave the children of Israel a promised land, they had to go and possess it. They had to go and possess it. So that means there are things that God has given you, things that He's spoken over your life, but you have to go and possess. There's a level of aggression that must take place in order for you to go and manifest what is actually yours. There's a level of anger, if you will, anger with where you are, anger with complacency, anger with excuses that you have to overcome in order for you to get to where you need to go. Point blank, period. There are no excuses. And when you look and you see people in various walks of life, in various industries that are highly successful, you are no different than they are. And if you are no different than they are, then the question it becomes, why aren't you seeing the results? And so I had to evaluate some things, some people, some situations, and say, okay, Sharita, what have you been lingering onto or allowing to linger onto you that should be cut off? What conversations, what ties, what imaginations, what stories have you created that has allowed for you to be in this place? And so you know what? There were some ties that had to be broken. And I'm just so grateful that at this age, I know who I am. I know who I am. I know what I want. I know what I don't want. I know where I want to be, who I want to be around. And the people and or things that don't serve me in the capacity in which I desire, they all are cut off. Period. Cut off. And just yesterday, just last night, in fact, I had to make two different connections and sever them and say, you know what? There's no bad blood at all. But see, I know what I desire. I know what I am worth. And I know what is to be accepted and what's not. And once you realize that, it is up to you to shift. It is up to you to make the proper adjustments. And once you make the proper adjustments, now you open up the room and the doors for what you actually want and desire to come your way, as opposed to holding on to a little bit of something. Yesterday I had the great pleasure of having lunch with the CEO of Tava, and she and I were speaking about, where we are and what we desired. And so she was sharing with me how she met her husband when she was 35, right? And she was saying she's so glad that she did, because at that point she knew who she was, she knew what she wanted, and she wasn't willing to compromise. And I could totally relate, because here I am at 35. I know what I want, what I don't want, and I know what I'm supposed to have, right? And so she was sharing how, with her knowing what she wanted, how she was able to get it, and now obviously she lives an amazing life. But had she been one of those people that didn't know what they wanted and literally was compromising like a lot of people do, she would never have been able to create the lifestyle that she currently has. And so it is for you. Are you settling for things that you know don't serve you? Are you settling for mediocrity? Are you settling for just being good when you could be great? You could be amazing. You could be extraordinary. You could have an extraordinary lifestyle. Why settle for anything other than extraordinary? Why settle for anything other than God's best? When I tell you, there has been a fire that has risen in me, and it's like, you better get out the way. Either you are getting on board or you need to get the heck up out the way because you're about to get run over. It's just that simple. There's no time for excuses, no time for lies, no time for being complacent. I don't have time for any of those conversations or that energy, period. And you need to get to that place where you don't entertain any foolishness, that place where if you're not talking about getting the bag, if you're not talking about having implementation and strategies to help and change people's lives, what are we doing? If you can't meet me where I need you to be in a relationship, what are we doing? Nothing. Great. God bless you and let the Lord's benediction be upon you. Point blank, period. Because listen, once you figure out who you really are, and once you figure out all of the amazing things that are actually yours that have your name on it, that are waiting for you to actually sign for it, listen, it's game over. Before I left, I had a package that was supposed to be coming to my house. And the package came, the tracking said it came, but when I went down to the locker room to find it, it wasn't there. And I'm like, how is it that they're saying that it's here, but I can't find the package? And this is what happens to a lot of us. See, our packages are sent, the promises are sent. But sometimes, if you're not diligent enough to look as well as you should, even though something may seem misplaced, if you do your due diligence, you have to find it. See, what we do sometimes is, oh my gosh, I can't find it, it's lost. And you go and try to file a claim or just forget about it. When in actuality, if you just went back to look a little bit deeper or look somewhere else, you would find it. Are you ready to sign for your delivery? Are you ready to sign for your delivery? Because the packages have been sent, the opportunities have been presented, the ideas have been given to you, the visions have been shown to you. The question is, are you going to sign for your package? Are you going to do your due diligence, even though it's already been delivered? That's only a question that you can answer, period. So if you know me personally or if you don't, and you see that I'm moving a little bit differently, know that there's a level of focus and concentration that is out of this world. And either you're going to be a part of the movement or you're not. And there's absolutely no bad blood. There's no offense. There's nothing that is personal. But this is all about purpose, intentionality, and being laser focused. Because I don't know about you, but I told y'all in 2021, there are four M's. Four M's that I'm focused on: millions, manifestation, marriage, mini mansions. I said that. So it has to happen, period, point blank. And so when you see the movement, know that you had an opportunity to be a part of it. So you can watch or you can get on board. Those are the only two options you have. You can watch or you can get on board. And if you want to get on board, you need to get in my inbox. See, I'm trying to tell you, it's a total different lifestyle out there. See, I don't know about you, but when I drove in that Maybach yesterday, honey, when the chairs began to shift as the car moved, that was a totally different experience. That's a different experience than being in a Honda, being in even a Lexus, even in a regular Mercedes. When you in the Maybach, honey, it was a totally different experience. Whether you're sitting in the back with a leg rest or if you're in the front with the massage chair, there's a totally different experience. See, God is not going to allow you to get that close for you to think that you can't have it. He didn't allow for me to be in a Maybach yesterday to make me feel like that's something I can't do. No, He allowed me to be in there to get me acclimated with what it feels like to be in such luxury. He allowed me to be around the people that was around to show me where it is that I'm going, to show me the progress of where I've been and to where it is that I'm going. From watching people from afar and admiring them from afar to actually having lunch with them, being in their car. I need y'all to get what I'm saying. So you have to be able to realize the progression, realize how close you are. Some of you are so close, but because you get so distracted and you get afraid of moving forward, you don't actually see the blessing in front of you to move forward with confirmation of what's already yours. So listen, I know what's mine. And I'm coming for every single part of it. Nothing missing, nothing broken, the Zoe kind of life. That's my testimony. That's my portion. That's what's for me. So listen, it's just got real. So you could either be a part of the movement or watch it. But if you're someone that you know that what I'm saying resonates with you and you're not talk, because I don't have time for all of this. All this, I don't have time for that. A whole bunch of people want to make 6 figures, make 7 figures and do nothing. I'm not talking to you. If you complacent where you at, stay over there. But if I'm talking to you and you know I'm talking to you, you know there's a better way for you to live. You know there's more. You know you want to impact a lot of lives. You know that by the end of this year, you can make a minimum of 6 figures, and I'm talking to you. And if I am, you need to get in my inbox. If not, God bless you. And may the Lord keep watch. But other than that, it's time to make some stuff happen. And so listen. If you're watching on YouTube, you can email me, SharitaLeon@gmail.com, or find me on Facebook. But the movement has begun. And baby, when I tell you, it's on and popping, trust and believe. It's on and popping. Listen, y'all. If you knew what I knew, that's all I'm going to say. If you knew what I knew and if you could see what I see, you would be connected with me, point blank, period. I gotta go, y'all. I thank you for watching. Until next time, only believe until the end and go get your life. So I'm getting mine, honey. Be blessed.
I'm a millionaire, money better cases. I ain't gotta chase it. I'm a millionaire.
Get your money. Get your money.